It's Friday and we're ready to put Journey back in the water. Yesterday the sale finally went through. We'd originally made an offer in about the first week of July and it had been rejected, and then we'd submitted new offers and it had dragged on a very, very long time. We spent yesterday clearing out the boat. We managed to completely fill the skip in North End Boatyard. Last night I checked the oil in the engines in the two sail drives. Unfortunately the port sail drive the oil was a very milky colour and it meant water had been getting into the sail drive. I rang the boat broker in a panic, wondering what on earth we could do about this oil problem, and he calmed me down and said, well, we'll fix it in the morning. So first thing in the morning he came and showed me what to do, and I pulled the sail drive apart and drained the oil and pulled out the bearings and seals, and we managed to get it all back together as they were backing the trailer up to load the boat to take it back to the water. This was our fourth trip to Whangarei to see the boat. North End Boatyard is filthy and hot and dusty, and we'd spent 3 days with the owner last trip, and this was our third day this trip. We were really ready to get the boat back in the water. My first attempt at driving the boat on my own was backing her out of the yard and into the river. Unfortunately, I got the port mini keel stuck in the mud in the river, and we had to get the advice of the boatyard to help us get off and back into the main channel. We motor sailed the rest of the way down the river to Marsden Cove Marina, where we tied her up, ready for some sail training. Unfortunately, we never did get any sail training. The company that had done the repair work on the engines had created leaks and damaged pulleys on one of the motors, so we spent the next 2 days fixing problems rather than going for a sail. We did go for a short motor and a practice docking, but unfortunately our anchor winch turned out to be faulty, and so we weren't able to practice that. But we did get a bit more familiar with the boat and did have a couple of nights on board. Is that going to make it a bit tricky getting out of here? Okay. Yeah. journey is from Marsden Cove Marina in Whangarei down the east coast to Havelock in the Marlborough Sounds. It's a little over 640 nautical miles all up.
Or that, what it, all the time, is it?
But it is
Huh? I did not know that. So,
This is more like it.
looks like we're in a ball.
It was a bit of a rough night rounding East Cape, and I was determined to make the waypoint and turn as fast as possible. I might have overdone it a bit and had to correct. The third day was a mixture of pleasurable sailing and motoring into heavy seas. We were running low on diesel and had to conserve every drop to try and make it to Wellington.
It's 2 AM. We are sailing with a 15 knot tailwinds, moving along around 5 knots. Auto helm running.
The morning saw us in calm conditions with a gentle breeze. We were on the final stage down the east coast, approaching Cape Palliser and headed into Cook Strait, and the weather just couldn't have been better. Concerned about the amount of diesel we had on board, we headed up Wellington Harbour to Seaview Marina to refuel. While we were there, we got some conflicting weather forecasts about what was going to happen in Cook Strait. In the end, we decided to carry on.
What's the name of the marina?
Seaview. Exiting Seaview Marina. Ah, wow. Fuck, we got in and out of there. That's amazing. I've never been so stressed in my life.
We followed the south coast of the North Island, but before we could cross the strait, the wind came up, easily exceeding 50 knots, and the only sensible option was to return to Wellington and wait for another day. It was a long, hard struggle back to Wellington. We had to run both engines on full RPM to make headway against the headwinds up the harbour. Fortunately, Seaview Marina had a berth big enough to fit us, and so we were able to leave her there for a few days.
into the Sounds, into a nice bay.
Do we know what one?
No, we'll just see how far we get.
We spent the night on a mooring at Winona Bay. The sea was full of thousands of jellyfish, and Max was intent on enslaving them. The following morning we sailed on to Havelock to complete the journey.